Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be reading Thea Stilton and the Dragon's Code. This is part 1, and now let's begin. Chapter 1, A Mysterious Invitation. It all started one September evening. I was working late at the Rodent's Gazette, the newspaper run by my brother, Geronimo Stilton. I had just turned in my last article, an investigation into a case of muggled cheese. I couldn't wait to get home to take a nice, relaxing bath. I scampered home as fast as my tired paws could take me. As I opened the door to my apartment building, I caught a glimpse of a rodent dressed as a post mouse. He stared at me suspiciously. "Thea Stilton?" he squeaked. "Yes, that's me," I answered. "Thea Stilton, the famous sister of the really famous Geronimo Stilton?" he asked. "Yes, I'm Thea," I responded impatiently. Was my brother really more famous than me? I'd never really thought about it before. Thea Stilton, the famous sister of the really famous Geronimo Stilton, the publisher and editor-in-chief of the Rodent's Gazette, the most famous newspaper on Mouse Island? He asked. "Yes, yes, and yes," I shouted. He jumped back a step. "Rat-munching rattlesnakes, mind your manners, please. I just wanted to be sure. I have a very important letter for you. Blue envelope, parchment paper, real wax seal. This is fancy stuff." He was right. The letter really did look important. But who was it from? Who? "Do you have any idea how long I've been waiting for you?" the post mouse squeaked. He seemed a little put out. "I suppose I could have put the letter in the mailbox, but what if someone came along and stole it?" This post mouse was taking his responsibilities a little too seriously. He was starting to make me nervous, so I grabbed the letter and headed up to my mouse hole. "Thanks a million," I told him as I scurried up the stairs. "It was really nice of you to wait for me." Chapter 2, A Dragon with an M in its Claws. By this time, curiosity was burning me up. Before I ripped open the letter, I noticed that the red wax seal was marked with a dragon holding the letter M in its claws. I knew the symbol well. It was the Mouseford Academy seal. Being accepted as a student at Mouseford Academy is a huge intellectual achievement, and teaching there is an honor. Only the best and brightest mice on all of Mouse Island study and teach at Mouseford Academy. So why were they contacting me? My tail started twitching nervously. I broke the seal, opened the envelope, and... wow! Double wow! Triple wow with a whipped cheese and a cherry on top! It was for me, Thea Stilton. I had received an invitation to teach a course in adventure journalism to a group of specially chosen students at Mouseford Academy. I was happy. I was excited. I was thrilled from the tips of my whiskers to the tip of my tail. Years ago, back when I was just a mouseling, I had been chosen to attend Mouseford Academy. And now they were choosing me again, to teach there. I felt a tingly sensation in my whiskers. I always get that feeling at the beginning of a new adventure. I couldn't wait for my adventure to begin. Chapter 3, A Night Full of Stars and Wishes. I checked the weather forecast because the only way to get to Mouseford Academy is by sea. It was built more than 1,000 years ago on Whale Island, a triangle of rocks and woods southwest of Mouse Island. Fortunately, I am an excellent sailor, if I do squeak so myself. The forecast wasn't good. The weather would hold for 1 day, 2 at the most, with a strong southerly wind, which was ideal for sailing toward my destination. After that, it looked like there were going to be storms with gusts of wind from the north. I did some quick thinking. It was 4 days until my first class. In theory, I could take my time, but that north wind might blow me off course. and I absolutely hate to be late. So I made my decision. I will set off at once. So much for my nice, relaxing bath. When you live the life of a special correspondent, you have to make snap decisions. And you get used to giving up little luxuries like baths, clean clothes, cheese, and sleep. I rushed over to my closet and started packing. First, I put the things I would need immediately in my backpack. My camera and laptop, a lavender dress for important evenings out, a red sweater and hiking boots for outdoor trips, a raincoat for the crossing, and a blue tracksuit for everyday wear. Then, I put out my trunk and filled it to the brim with other things I need for my stay at Mouseford Academy. My favorite books on journalism, samples of my own past work and the Rodents Gazette, more clothes, shoes, and pictures of my family. Once I was all packed, I took a quick shower and dressed in my warmest clothes. Then, I hailed a taxi and headed for New Mouse City Harbour. By midnight, I had already put out to sea. I love to sail and I have my own catamaran. What a fabulous evening to be on the ocean. The night stars shone like diamonds. Every now and then, a shooting star would illuminate the darkness. I made so many wishes that night. It was a magical evening. But then, he arrived. Chapter 4. How'd you get your license? Thanks to a strong southern wind, I was flying across the water. At dawn, I caught a glimpse of Whale Island. I spotted a blue whale passing my catamaran, so I slowed down to study it more closely. I was busy admiring my new friend when I noticed a long line of wet foam rise up on the horizon. I pulled out my binoculars to get a closer look. The white foam was moving. Fast. Very fast. Really, really fast. Crazy cat guts. The foam was coming from a hydroplane, a high-powered scareplane fitted with enormous floats that allow it to land on and take off from water. And that hydroplane was coming toward me at an incredible speed. I made a few sharp turns and managed to avoid being hit. The hydroplane shot past on the starboard side, that is, to the right, missing me by a whisker. But I wasn't completely safe. As it whistled by, the hydroplane generated a huge wave that completely engulfed me. Splash! I was soaked to the fur. And even worse, a baby octopus had landed on my snout. Its tentacles were wrapped around my ears. Once I'd entangled myself, I shouted, "How'd you get your license?" But the hydroplane was already too far away for its captain to hear me. He was going in the direction of Whale Island too. I couldn't wait to catch up with the captain so I could give him a piece of my mind. Chapter 5. Vince Guy Mouse. I was still fuming as I brought my catamaran into the harbour at Whale Island. And there he was, the captain of the hydroplane. He was sitting on the pier next to his hydroplane, acting like a big rat on campus with every rodent who passed. "Did you see my famous stalking maneuver? Not to toot my own horn, but I'm one of the best captains on the sea of mice. Make that the best." Can you believe his nerve? That was when he noticed me standing there. He must have thought I was pretty. I often have that effect on male mice, because he strode up, took my paw, and kissed it. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Vince Guy Mouse. It is a great, great pleasure to meet you. I yanked my paw away. "Oh, the pleasure is all mine," I replied with a glare. Guy Mouse was so surprised, he almost jumped out of his fur. He stepped back, tripped over his own two hind paws. I took advantage of his confusion by sticking a tangled mess of stinky algae on his snout. "Captain, you..." My catamaran was standing still, and you almost crashed into me. I was so agitated, my tail was twitching. I couldn't seem to stop it. Then I heard a peculiar sound, like a clap, Then another. Clap, clap. Clap, 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 clap. Someone was applauding me. Chapter 6. 5 bright-looking mouselings. Standing behind me on the dock were 5 bright-looking mouselings. 4 were clapping for me, while the 5th, who had beautiful almond-shaped eyes and long black hair, stood a little to the side. Meanwhile, Vince Sky Mouse was still sitting on the dock, trying to pick the bits of algae out of his whiskers. "Well done," said the first mouseling, who had dark fur and thick curly hair. "That rodent was really cheating me off." The second mouse, with a really long braid, darted forward to explain. "Pamela and I couldn't take another minute of his bragging." Then she looked at me shyly and said, "You must be Thea Stilton." "Thea Stilton?" said the third mouseling, who was wearing an enormous cowboy hat. "Wow! Would you be so kind as to give me your autograph?" "Sure," I replied laughing. "But please, let's not be so formal." The second mouseling piped up again. "That's Nicky and Paulina. Those 2 over there are Colette and Violet." She shook my paw. Colette had blonde fur and was dressed in pink from snout to tail. As she spoke, she paused every now and then to blow on her hot pink nail polish. "You see, we were on board the plane with him. It was an awful journey. Up and down all the time. I put on my lipstick and it smudged all over my snot. So I waited until we were back on dry land before freshening up my nail polish." Nicky nodded. "What a trip! It was a wild ride, worse than riding on a cat with fleas." "Excuse me for interrupting," said Violet, the mouseling with black hair and almond-shaped eyes. "But what do you think we should do about him?" She meant Vince Sky Mouse, of course. I'd almost forgotten all about him.